AM 590, KXSP Omaha's ESPN Radio. It's time for the Metro's only racing talk show. The Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Now, here's Dan Taylor and Buddy Ray.
Good morning, race fans, and welcome to the Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. You guys are still at summer hours, right?
Yeah, that's right. Monday through Thursday, we are open 2 to 10, Friday 2 to 11, Saturday 11 to 11, and Sunday noon to 8. September 2nd, that Tuesday.
Just after Labor Day?
Just after Labor Day. We then officially go to our new summer hours, or winter hours. And
finally,
we'll be open.
You're the one making mistakes.
Yeah. So, it probably won't have much of an effect as to when I show up at work, but, But no, after starting September 2nd through Memorial Day of 2015, then we will open 4 to 10 Monday through Thursday, 4 to 11 on Friday, 11 to 11 Saturday, noon to 8 Sunday.
Joe'sKarting.com, Karting with a K for all the information on that. But for now, Joe's Karting opens up at 2 o'clock. All the full-paced white-knuckle racing you can handle. $13.75 for 16 laps, right?
$13.50.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Is it gone down, or were you always just charging me?
We charge you $13.75. After that one race when you took out the wall, what you don't realize is we got your card for $25 a race.
New additions to the Holiday Horsepower Racing with the Stars event.
Yeah, I'm not ready to release that.
Okay.
I'm not ready to release it yet.
You and I are turning into a bunch of people who aren't ready to announce things quite yet.
Well, no, I've got about half the field set, and there's some big names that got to be confirmed. And I so badly want to, talk about some of these names, but let's just tell you right.
You just gotta wait.
I will tell you that if you plan on being in the general public and making that feature, you better have some kart racing experience behind you, and that's all I'll leave it at.
I got some kart racing experience.
Yeah, hitting my wall.
Hitting your wall. All right. Apparently, you decided to put Fred, your pit guy for your sport mod racing organization, into a cage kart. How did that go? Did he have fun?
He had a blast. And I tell you what, I've been walking around telling everybody, I was even telling my boss, I was like, good God, you'd think Fred's Jeff Gordon or something. I mean, he thinks he's Mr. NASCAR. I told him, we were going to go to Crawford County last weekend. We were going to race in Denison, and, everybody knows
August
I'm kind of...
9th?
Yeah.
Was that the 9th?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so it would have been last week, the 9th. We planned on going there, and I told Fred, I was like, you know what? Everybody knows that we've kind of taken a smaller schedule this year, we're trying to save some money, save some equipment. Let's just have a fun night, an off-fun night. We'll still be at the racetrack, and let's go out to Mini E, and we're going to let you race the cage kart. And he looks at me and he goes, what? And I was like, but he came from Ohio. He raced the cage karts, and we haven't had that cage kart out since December when my son raced it. So Fred got to race it. He started dead last in the feature, finished 8th. There was only 10 or 12 cars, I think. But he still finished 8th. We got to find some things out of the cage kart. It's still sitting in the enclosed trailer, by the way.
Oh, are you?
And Fred's still going in there looking at it. He goes, well, I want to change this and I want to change that. And I was like, whoa, big fella. I don't know how soon we'll be back out, but he'll be back out. But had a good time. Tell you what, and I think we should mention this, the Young Guns. I'm out at Mini E. They talked about the Front Stretch and looking for Young Guns. For any kart racer out there, get us your bios.
Is that why all of a sudden I got 4 emails?
Yes.
Because we've got some really good Young Guns lined up for month of August is taken up, and then we've got one in September. But please, send us your bios. Give us more time to get them done correctly. We've got some really good ones lined up because of some real pushing you and I have done to get this. We want to get these Young Guns featured because it's featuring the future of our sport. And listen, that is incredibly important right now with adding more drivers in and getting them experience, and then they can be the World of Outlaws champions in 10 or 15 years, and then they can make their way up to ARCA and NASCAR and so on. So that's critically important.
Back to Friday night racing at Mini E, it was so cool. I went up to Roger Haden after the races were done.
Who we'll talk to coming up in a couple of turns.
Went up to Roger Haden. I was like, it is a blast watching all these kids just light the track up. And then I walked over, and there's this little 8-year-old blonde girl, Ava Gropp. She's been a young gun.
Yep.
She looks right up at me at all of 3 foot tall, and here I am a little over 6 foot. She looks straight up at me, and she goes, you need to shut your little mouth because I'm going to beat you. And I was like... I looked around. I was like, what? So to make a long story short, after the night's racing, she went in her cage cart. I went and got in, I believe it's Anna Scouten's cage cart.
Yeah.
And so I went over and I was like, all right, you and me, man to girlo. And so she goes, I don't care what you think. I'm going to beat your butt on the track. So,
wow.
Her dad, Matt Gropp, Ava Gropp, and I were sitting there talking, and so we threw down a challenge. The challenge was the loser in a 5-lap race. The loser has to wallow around in a puddle of mud because Eagle Raceway on the 10th last Saturday did the hillbilly redneck slip and slide.
Yeah, I saw pictures.
So we were going to start it on Friday night. Well, I went out there and completely destroyed little Ava, but to be fair, on the last 2 laps, she got by me, and then I'm not going to lie, I was like, oh, bleep, 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 bleep.
Right.
And the cage car's like, I'm going to have to go wallow around in some mud, and I'm going to have to sit in my truck.
So you wrecked her.
No. You know what's funny, though? I come out on the track. It's not even my cage car. I come out on the track. She takes and turns the wheels to the right and purposely comes over and T-bones me.
Wow.
I'm like, what is this going on?
She's a firecracker.
Well, no. She goes, I looked at her and was like, well, yeah, you beat me. She did beat me. So she comes over.
When someone beats you.
Yeah, she beat me. She goes, I told you I was going to win. I was like, you tried to wreck me twice. And she goes, hey, my dad told me to do it. I was like,
well, you can't argue with that.
No. So so we had a blast. Fred had a blast. And then, Saturday night we went to Osceola Clark County Speedway, raced there. Fred ends up in the hospital. And then for the listeners, if you go to my Facebook.
What was that? Well, I mean, quickly, we got a lot to get to this turn, but I mean, he
slipped on some galvanized stairs and knocked himself out walking up an embankment. So it was actually quite serious. That wasn't a joke. So he knocked himself out, and in the trailer I go, do you want me to stay and run the King of the Hill with a mod, or do you want me to go to the hospital? He goes, no, I'm not dying. Run the King of the Hill, then come to the hospital and get me. And if you've ever been to the hospital, you're going to be there 2 hours at least.
Oh, yeah.
So he's alive. He's kicking. So we went in there, and me and another buddy of ours, Billy Schindel, we were like, we ought to just start recreating scenes from Days of Thunder. I was looking for walking sticks and white coats and whatnot, but it was a fun weekend. So
it was a rough weekend for a lot of people. Some of probably the hardest news I've ever seen, and it was just terrible. Obviously, I'm talking about the Tony Stewart, Kevin Ward Jr. situation. This situation, every Tom, Dick, and Harry has weighed in on it. I don't know if you and I necessarily need to do some diatribe of what we think happened or didn't happen, because as far as I'm concerned, there are a handful of people that know what actually happened, and unfortunately, one of them is with God right now. And I just get sick to my stomach every time I see somebody post some story about Tony Stewart being a killer, and CNN and MSNBC being the uneducated. And I'm not bashing them; they just don't know about racing. They're there to sell headlines, and it's NASCAR driver Tony Stewart kills another driver. It's not. It's an incident. It was an accident. It was. I cannot fathom for the life of me that Tony meant to do it.
I had a lot of people that were really waiting for us to join up here on the front stretch to give my perspective as a driver on this and the entire situation.
And unfortunately, because we record on Wednesday nights, it happened Saturday night. We weren't able to talk about it on Sunday morning. So by the time you hear this,
it's a week and a half old.
It's 8 days past happening. And who knows what's happened since we've recorded, but. And
I've had a lot of people, like I said, they're waiting to hear my side of it. And before I give you my thoughts,
let me just tell you, we only got 4 minutes left in the break.
Well, yeah, I'll make it fast. But this is not the official opinion of the show itself. This is my personal opinion as a driver. It's unfortunate that it happened. There are videos out there. I don't think Tony would have intentionally killed him. And if anything, Tony would have tried to get away from the guy. Why in the world would Tony want to hurt anybody and possibly jeopardize his entire racing career, his entire livelihood?
Yeah.
That wouldn't happen. Sadly, though, to be honest, I think you stay in your car. And I've been just as guilty. Mm-hmm. You've seen me at Denison. I've done this at Eagle. I've gotten out of the car. I've charged the field. The field's come by me at any time I could get hurt. If I get out of my car and I charge the field for whatever reason and something happens, then hey, I mean, whose fault is that? It comes back on me.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate that he passed away, but he should have stayed in his car.
Well, then let's transition to this point of it. Should tracks legislate whether or not drivers are able to get out of their cars? I want to get your second opinion on this also, by the way, of it's going to be, should tracks start penalizing drivers for getting out of their cars?
Absolutely.
What if there's a situation where the driver doesn't know the car is on fire, and so because of a possible penalty coming, he stays in it and thus gets burnt?
It's kind of funny when we know. We almost have a pretty good idea when the car's on fire. When we're sitting out at I-80 and there's a fire underneath the rear end, you'll see people on the bottom wall go, fire, and they're pointing at you. So then we can, if you can get out of the car and there is a fire, then no penalties assessed. But look, if you spin out and you're wrecked, then stay in your car.
I think the safest of anything, and to be honest with you, I think because of this situation, it's going to knock this occurrence down a lot. I think a lot of the I'm mad, I'm going to get out of my car and I'm going to go gesture to the guy who wrecked me, I think that's going to come down a lot. Because I've seen it happen in all of my 3 years of doing it, but it's a horrible situation, and I think the best of both worlds is you can get out of your car, but if you interact with a driver, you're penalized.
Absolutely.
You come at the line, questions. You come at the driver, so that's the... And last I knew, Tony was racing on today for Michigan, but again, we record on Wednesday night, so we don't know. Let's talk about happier times. That's Watkins Glen International, and
what a race!
Listen, every time we leave Watkins Glen, it comes up again. Should there be a road course?
I was just getting ready to say yes.
Take advantage of 2015. Put Watkins Glen in the chase. It's got to be in the chase.
What track do you take away to put Watkins Glen in?
To be honest with you, take Talladega away. I don't like that track. I don't like super speedways. It's okay for the last 5 laps. That's interesting racing.
Give me another track. There's your problem. When you're going, oh.
Well, it's because I don't know the list of tracks. Charlotte, maybe? Move Charlotte up. I don't know. Texas. Phoenix, perhaps. Move Phoenix up a little bit, but Phoenix has got to be at the end of the year. I don't know. That's something that I'm going to let NASCAR decide. But as a fan, I want a road course race in the chase. And let me also back this up with this. How many times have we had the story of ratings have been down year over year? Watkins Glen is the first race. We are 22 races into the season. Watkins Glen is the first race to beat last year's ratings. Put it in the chase.
I was thinking about you when I was actually watching the race. You don't like the big Talladega pack racing because it's just a crapshoot in your mind. But I'm sitting here thinking...
And they're playing it safe. It's not interesting. It's, hey, we had 57 lead changes.
When I look at Watkins Glen, though, we watched the nationwide race where Brendan Gaughan, came out of nowhere. And he started in the back and came back. So to me, Watkins Glen is my wild card race because you never know what's going to happen. I seriously thought that, not Dinger, but the other,
Ambrose.
If I was a betting man, that's the guy I was going to take.
That's who you took in the Pick'ems contest, and that's who a lot of people took.
Who in the world would have thought Dinger, of all people, would have won that?
I don't think
Dinger's still...
I told you 2 weeks ago, Dinger's somebody you need to look at because they went and tested at Watkins Glen because AJ is good at the road courses. He did really well at Sonoma. He did good 2 years ago with them. He's good at road course racing. And then, on top of that, they went and tested at Watkins Glen to get him a little more experience. And boy, did it pay off.
But let me ask you,
it paid off. We got to keep moving along. I'm sorry. We took a little bit too long, but it paid off to the tune of this.
Bring it to me, baby. Bring it to me. Woo! Check it back. Yeah! Yeah! You are awesome, man. Yeah! That just happened. I love you guys! Thank you! Yeah! Tell Big Brad to get his butt down to Victory Lane and come party with us. Yes!
That gives me chills to the exact same level as the day that Dale Jr. won the Daytona 500. When Dale Sr. finally won the Daytona 500, it gives me chills. And I am not ashamed to admit it. When I finally got to go back and watch the end of that race, I started crying. I'm kind of getting a little emotional
I'm
now.
not crying.
Because I'm so happy for AJ.
Yes.
Of all drivers, he's been through so much over the last 2 years. You're laughing at me. Could you see? I'm kind of tearing up right now talking about it. But that's why I love this sport. It's because I'm getting emotional at this Cinderella story. This underfunded team, this underdeveloped team, this driver that was down and out and kicked out of Penske, and you and I were both saying he'll never race Cup again. This guy just beat Marcus Ambrose, Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Dale Jr., Jeff Gordon. He beat all of them at Watkins Glen. And he got to stand on top and say, I'm in the chase.
This is his first Cup win. And right away, there was one other driver that immediately came to my mind after watching his celebration and his excitement after that first Cup win. Shaylee Bade in the sprint car.
Yeah, it was that was a great win, and that is so. I mean, it's so awesome that I can't even begin to describe how excited I was when I saw that come across my ticker that he'd won that race.
The only bad thing on that whole finish that could be detrimental to his career is that second place finish to Marcus Ambrose. That I think that could hurt his career.
What do you mean?
When they're taking all their funding from Richard Petty Motorsports and they're funding all that money to bank on that one race, and Marcus can't get it done, does that jeopardize his Cup ride for next year?
Let's be honest. I think his Cup ride is secured. I don't think he's racing next year. Richard Petty Motorsports has purchased
He's not racing, or he is racing.
He purchased a supercar team, and I'm getting the information wrong, but it's a supercar team. It's what Marcus used to do before he came over to NASCAR. And the rumor is that Marcus is going to move over and start racing in that series, and they're going to fill somebody else in that 9. It's just not working for Marcus. Although I think he has one last chance. It's slim, but I think he's got one last chance at Martinsville or at Bristol coming up next weekend. I think that's his last chance. He is pretty good at the short tracks and at the bull rings, so I think that's his last opportunity.
See, I think that's the only bad thing that came out of Watkins Glen is when, you and I were talking about...
But AJ did the same thing. They banked all of their efforts. AJ's good on the road course. They banked all of their efforts on that one race. And he didn't steal it, by the way. He earned it. He was never outside. I think the lowest he was in the entire race was 14th, and that was during green flag stops. It was during a cycle of green flag stops. So, bravo to him. Yeah.
Oh, I could have swore at the end of the race they said the lowest he'd ever been in the entire, from the start to finish, was 40th at one time.
Man, maybe that was. I saw a graphic on Race Hub earlier the week that said otherwise. All right, I need to make a correction before we move on into turn number 2. I was listening to shows. I was going down to pick up my nieces for Adventureland, and I was listening to our explanation of the chase. And quite frankly, I'm embarrassed to say I butchered it. Here's the way the chase works. Top 16 drivers get into the chase, okay? After Dover, 3 races in, 4 cars are eliminated. The top 12 in points, or if you have a win, you move on. So I'm going to say it again. If there's 3 winners and 1 repeat winner, then 9 cars move on to the next round, and another driver gets in on points. And then there's so if you don't have a win, you got to be in the top 12 in points. Then you move on to the contender round, Kansas, Charlotte, Talladega. That's the next elimination round. Win and you're in, or you're in on the next points. Elimination round, Martinsville, Texas, Phoenix. Again, 4 drivers are going to be eliminated. After Phoenix, we'll have 4 drivers left. Okay? Then we move on to the final race at Homestead Miami Speedway. Doesn't matter wins on the season. Doesn't matter point standings. All it matters is who finishes highest that day.
Do we see rough driving that day?
I think if there's an opportunity, we will see a rough driving that day. And that's what makes this so beautiful. AJ Allmendinger is almost locked into the chase.
How cool is that?
We have 4 races left, and he is a full 3 races ahead of... Who's Hudson Hall work for again?
Michael Annett.
He's 3 full races ahead of Michael Annett. After this weekend, he very well could be secured into the chase. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back in turn number 2.
The best bike night on the planet continues with the hottest Wednesday nights around at Quaker Steak and Lube. Smoking hot deals like $6.99 lube burgers or $3 Busch Lights, $4 aluminum pint bottles, smoking bands on the lube stage, and smoking giveaways like concert tickets to Firehouse at Ralston Arena or Stir Cove. Bike night at Quaker Steak and Lube, brought to you by Holstein's Harley Davidson, each and every Wednesday night, where there's never a cover charge and always a great time. Quaker Steak and Lube, next to the Mid-America Center in Council Bluffs. 40 years and still smoking.
This is Andrew from Kaziski Auto Parts. Kaziski Auto Parts is an insurance-quality used parts supplier that can match your foreign or domestic car or truck needs. If you have a damaged or broke-down car or truck, we guarantee a clean and quality part in next-day fashion. Kaziski Auto Parts, your neighborhood premium recycled parts supplier. Call any Kaziski Auto Parts salesman today by dialing 402-731-4592 or visit us at 5040 I Street in Omaha. Kaziski Auto Parts. Our quality used parts will match your car or truck's needs.
Are you ready for fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping, wheel-to-wheel racing right here in the Metro? Get to Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs and see what it's like to race real go-karts. Joe's Karting knows it's no fun to race go-karts at 10 miles per hour, so they ripped the governors out, and now the only restriction is how good you are at racing. It's full-throttle, white-knuckle racing every day of the week. Head over to joeskarting.com for hours, prices, and specials, or give Buddy a call today and set up your group races at 712-256-5278.
We're working the high line into turn 2 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting. Online at joeskarting.com.
Heading into turn number 2 here on the front stretch, presented by Kaziski Auto Parts. Online at KaziskiAutoParts.com. 51st and I Street in Omaha is where you can go to get quality used parts. We're talking with Kylie Hiatt, wife of Shane Hiatt, the man who drives for Shane Hiatt Racing. Well, I guess who is the driver of Shane Hiatt Racing. How are you doing tonight, Kylie?
I am good. How are you doing?
Doing very well. We appreciate you joining us on the show. You'd emailed me earlier in the week that you guys have a little bit of an event going on right now, so I wanted to kind of talk about that. But before we get to Bristol, let's talk about how is Shane doing in the racing this year? I've seen a lot of good stuff on his page.
Yes, his racing is going. It's ending pretty good. It started out really, really good. We were wiping the field with fourths and third places and some wins, and he got in a bad crash there about a month ago, and we got a new car, and he's still trying to figure out the kinks in the car, kind of put us. We were winning Eagle. Now it's a tough battle with Johnny Sadoff. We're just a couple points behind him, and so these last couple of weeks are going to be crucial for Shane to do what he can to get back on top to see if we can win Eagle. That's one of his biggest. This is going to be a big accomplishment if he does do that. That's one thing that he's been dreaming of doing, is actually winning points at Eagle. So keeping our fingers crossed these next 2 weekends shoot as well.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed for you guys also. We talked to Shane a couple of months ago about Bristol and her diagnosis with Rett's syndrome. Can you refresh the listeners a little bit exactly what Rett's syndrome is?
Yes, Rett syndrome is a neurological disorder of the brain, whereas she's an average, well, she'll be 3 on Sunday, so as she's an average 3-year-old, she just doesn't have the ability to talk. She doesn't have the ability to walk on her own. We did previously just get her a gait trainer, which what that is kind of just set her in there, and it helps her stand up so she can walk. So it was when we got her that, it was kind of like she took her first steps. And ever since then, we've been going on walks, and she's been walking with it and almost like she's running. So it's kind of fun to watch her be up. She doesn't have purposeful use of her hands. Her hands kind of get in the way of being able to let her do some things. And it just messes with the chromosome, and it happens in 1 in every 10,000 girls. She fortunately got diagnosed with a mild case, so we're hoping, so she actually is able to do a lot more than what a lot more severe girls get to do. So we are kind of blessed in that aspect of it.
And you guys have started up a fundraiser at GoFundMe.com. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we did a fundraiser a while ago when we first found out to support Rett syndrome. We actually just sent off 2 weeks ago a huge check to them. We thank everybody that had donated. This time around, this money is actually going to us. Bristol got in a clinical trial in Boston, Massachusetts. And what it is they've been working very hard for many, many, many years to try to get a drug that will potentially help the girls get some of their skills back, or all of them. Potentially one day finding a full cure that our girls will be 100% like your average everyday girl. It's very hard to get into. It's not easy. You got to go through a lot of steps. When we, one of my friends actually just told me about it. They just moved the age from the girls to 2 to 10. And I was like, oh, Bristol just got diagnosed. We don't know anything about it. They're going to look at us and just be like, oh, we've got girls that have been waiting for years to get into this. I figured they overlook it. We impatiently waited 3 weeks, and finally called me on last Friday, and they had told us that she got in. It was kind of like the day she was diagnosed. Like, there were tears running down. I could barely talk, and they said with Bristol and with her age and just with what she's able to still kind of do and how mild, they really want her to get her in to see what she can progress from this medicine.
And the hard part is that with going all the way to Boston for this clinical study, there's obviously expenses that are going to be incurred by you and Shane, all while a time where you got to take 2 weeks off of work and not get paid.
Correct.
So the GoFundMe.com donation site is set up to help offset some of those expenses you guys are going to incur by travel and lodging and such.
That is correct. Yep, we have to pay for our own flights. We have to pay for our lodging, any food. I mean, we're there for 2 weeks. We can't starve.
Yeah.
Food, anything that extra needs that Bristol needs down there that we can't fly out. And that's basically what it is. We've gotten some money. We've got a good amount of money so far, and we appreciate it. It's not like we're taking it, ingraciously. We are so with the bottom of our hearts thank everybody that does. And this is basically for Bristol, for one day that we can go back and we can say, this is everybody that had pitched in. This is everybody that had helped you out to get us to where we are today. That's why we're doing it. It's nothing selfish. It's nothing, but it is 2 weeks off work. We have a house to live in. We have a car payment. We live,
it's expensive to live these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
And any effort we could do to help you guys offset that, we are absolutely excited to help you guys out. You can find the link on Shane Hiatt Racing. That's the Shane's Racing web page on Facebook. You can find the link to Bristol's Boston Fund. You can also go to GoFundMe.com, and I believe if you do a search for Boston Fund, the donation site will pull up.
Yeah, it's either Boston Fund or you can look under Kylie Hiatt. I'm not for sure which one. Usually I've been trying to post it on Bristol's Race for a Cure, Race for Bristol, Race for a Cure page about every day, just so people that maybe had overpassed it see it. Like I said, so far we're only 4 days into it and we still have a couple months, so still hoping that things can go up. But yeah, we're excited. We're very excited, and we thank you for this interview to get the word out there. Every little bit helps.
We're happy to do anything we can. We love talking to Shane. We love talking to you, and I still have to do it. I got to meet Bristol. I've heard she's a bit of a firecracker.
Oh, she is. Yes, I know. Every time that we want to meet, it's always something.
It keeps getting rained out.
Yeah.
So here's the thing: we're not going to plan on meeting for the rest of the season, so that way nothing gets rained out. How's that sound?
That sounds good.
All right, GoFundMe.com or go to Shane Hiatt Racing for the link. You can also go to Race for a Cure, Race for Bristol to find the link to help offset expenses for Shane and Kylie to go to Boston for the clinical study for Bristol. Thank you so much, Kylie, for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much for the interview. We really appreciate it.
Anything we can do. Have a great weekend.
Okay, you too.
All right, so one more time. Shane Hiatt Racing, the Facebook page. Race for Bristol, Race for a Cure. There's also a Facebook page. You can find it if you're friends with Shane or Kylie, or it is GoFundMe.com. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to be joined by Stan Caesar and Roger Haden. It is an Eagle Raceway overwhelming interview, and coming up in turn number 3. We'll be right back.
Only one word describes NASCAR at Kansas Speedway. Fantastic. Parking's free. Coolers are welcome. Fantastic, you say? Then don't miss the chase for the Sprint Cup Hollywood Casino 400 October 5th. Tickets include more seats for $99 or less and kids' tickets for just $29. How fantastic is that? Call 866-460-RACE or visit KansasSpeedway.com today.
For 50 years, Eagle Raceway has been pushing the limits of dirt track racing. Saturday nights, come see the Midwest's best battle at the fastest third-mile track. Gates open at 5:30 for IMCA Modifieds, Sport Compacts, Hobby Stocks, Sport Mods, and Race Saver Sprint Cars. Eagle kicks their season off on April 19th with the Icebreaker Challenge, featuring the debut of the Race Saver Sprint Cars. Located just 10 minutes east of Lincoln on Highway 34 and online at eagleraceway.com.
The best bike night on the planet continues with the hottest Wednesday nights around at Quaker Steak and Lube. Smoking hot deals like $6.99 lube burgers or $3 Busch Lights, $4 aluminum pint bottles, smoking bands on the lube stage, and smoking giveaways like concert tickets to Firehouse at Ralston Arena or Stir Cove. Bike night at Quaker Steak and Lube, brought to you by Holstein's Harley Davidson each and every Wednesday night, where there's never a cover charge and always a great time. Quaker Steak and Lube, next to the Mid-America Center in Council Bluffs. 40 years and still smoking.
Time to grab another tear-off and make your move. We're headed into Turn 3 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting.
Heading into turn number 3 here on the front stretch, brought to you by Kansas Speedway. Tickets for the NASCAR Chase for the Sprint Cup Hollywood Casino 400 on October 5th are on sale now. Visit KansasSpeedway.com. I was online there the other day, and they have a complete ticket package. You can go and select what days you want to get there, what days you want to leave. They take care of hotel, which is right across the street, ticket packages, everything. I mean, everything is done for you. They take convenience to the next level.
Is this the one that's under the lights?
No, that was in April.
Oh, okay.
Remember that race? That race already happened.
I wonder if they got cell phone lockers for when we go back down there for me.
Well, they can't help you with that. Buddy lost his cell phone about a year and a half ago, and I'm not even kidding you. To compare it, it was like taking a toy from your 2-year-old. Threw the biggest fit I've ever seen in my life.
For 3 days.
Pouted all the way to the Iowa border when we finally pulled over at a gas station, and you found it in the back of your truck.
Yeah.
Anyways, KansasSpeedway.com for all the tickets and information. The Sprint Cup race, Hollywood Casino 400, October 5th. That's going to be a hootenanny. We're getting all scheduled to be down there again. I've got lined up. We're working on getting AJ Allmendinger to do interviews with us. I've talked to Michael Annette and Hudson Hall about doing interviews with us. So we're already getting ready for the October 5th weekend. I hope you are. It's going to be fantastic. But still a weekend just around the corner. And guys, I can't even believe we're talking about the end of the season specials that are coming up. You got Stan Caesar joining us for the second week in a row. Thank you, Stan.
Sure.
And Roger Haden. Thank you, Roger, for joining us.
Yep, thanks for having us.
It's always great having you in studio. And then there's this guy, Buddy Ray, that helps try to keep me organized each and every week. All right.
Yeah, right.
We have just around the corner the Race Saver IMCA Sprint Super Nationals, and I wanted to have you guys in here to talk about that and to talk about the Nebraska Cup and everything you guys got going on for the next couple of weeks. It's a busy couple of weeks for you guys.
Well, I'll tell you what, the season's kind of winding down, but it's really building up because two of the biggest races of the year are coming up only a week apart, involving the sprint car division. And last year was the inaugural running of the Race Saver IMCA Sprint Car Super Nationals. This is basically the sprint car portion of the annual Super Nationals has been taking place with IMCA at Boone, Iowa for years and years. And we're pretty honored to have the sprint car portion right at America's Home Track. Roger did a great job of putting that together. Maybe he can talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, if everything works out right, this thing could become one of the biggest sprint car races in the country, we're hoping. And it looks like this year already we got a huge entry list coming in already.
78 as of today.
As of Wednesday night when we recorded 78 cars.
How many sprint cars did you guys end up having last year overall for this event?
53 on the first night and 56 on the second night.
You know, for a first year, you're almost always going to have a smaller car count the first year, but the second year it's just going to build and build. But one thing I'm noticing on DirtDrivers.com is you got cars coming from Virginia, North Carolina, Texas, from all over the country.
Right now, 12 states are being represented, as well as one driver actually was born and raised in Australia. He resides over in Newton, Iowa right now, but he lists his hometown as Australia, so it'll be kind of neat to have at least one Aussie in the field.
It's not Brody Tulloch, is it?
No.
It's not Brad Wicks, is it?
No. No, Anthony Jeffrey.
Anthony Jeffrey.
Okay. All right, so it all kicks off Friday, August 29th. The Speedway Motors, Venom Energy, and the NMC Cat Rental Stores presents the Race Saver IMCA Super Nationals. What's going on Friday? Gates opening. What are we talking about for activities that day?
There's actually open practice on Thursday before.
Okay.
But then Friday we go into the qualifying. Basically, it'll be heat races, draw for heat races. They'll run the heats. That'll move them into a feature for the night. Each night will have an A feature. And out of that A feature, we'll take the 9 top qualifiers, and that'll be the inside row of the main A feature on Saturday.
Any other divisions racing? Any sport mods? Any mods? Anything like that?
Mini sprints are racing on Friday night.
Whoa! You're gonna have mini sprints at Eagle Raceway?
Oh yeah, it happens every year.
Wow, I can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
I've got to get like this newfound of love for mini sprints. That's going to be awesome.
They hustle around. They're pretty good. Last year on one of the open practice nights, they had the dwarf cars. A few guys brought dwarf cars down to practice, which use like a bigger, like a 1300 cc engine. And the mini sprints with a 600 engine in. Frank Galusha was down there, and he was lapping the dwarf cars. With a 6, like an engine that's half the size in the actual mini sprints. I know Shelly Bate will be down. She'll be running in both classes, but that's where she cut her racing teeth, back in karts and mini sprints before moving up into the full-size sprint cars. But mini sprints are the support card on the Friday night, and you talk about heat races. If we're looking at 80 or so cars, there's going to be at least 8 heat races. That's going to give us probably all the way down to a C feature, maybe even a D feature on every qualifying night.
Wow.
And then on Saturday night, and it's going to be a complete new program for sprint car qualifying each night. They'll qualify the outside 9 rows for Sunday's Super Nationals feature. And as well, on Saturday night, also be the Napa Auto Parts IMCA Sport Mods and the Valentino's IMCA Hobby Stocks will be on the card. Also coming up on Saturday night, which is really going to be one of the events of the weekend, the annual Race of Champions. And to qualify for that race, you had to have been a champion at your local track or in the national series at some point in time. Right now, we've got, I believe, 19 cars pre-entered for that have all been a champion at one time or another in the sprint car division. So that's going to be a pretty exciting race also. And then coming up on Sunday, we'll have last chance qualifiers. We'll qualify the inside 9 rows of our 27-car starting field. And also on the bill will be the Capital University, IMCA A Modifieds, and the Sam's Club front-wheel drive sport compacts.
That Sunday night show, that's going to be amazing because, with Boone Super Nationals starting over in Boone that week, guess where all the Western guys are going to be stopping? At Eagle Raceway.
Well, hopefully, we have seen a few in years gone by, but then also some guys choose to save their cars for the Boone Super Nationals. But we kick things off on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Boone takes over on Monday, and they bring it all the way to the following Saturday night. And it's great to be a part of it, and like I say, Roger kind of really put this Race Saver IMCA Sprint Car Series in the Midwest on the map, and it was nice that we're being able to handle that end of it,
By the way, I should take the time to just go ahead and congratulate. I mean, what a gutsy move you made. I think we've talked about it a couple of times on the show. The decision to take away the 360 class and go out on a big limb and go with the 305s. I think it's safe to say it's been a great choice.
Yeah,
it's been a great decision.
Pretty sure the radio show here will probably get me more hate mail.
Well, I'm not gonna throw any names out here on this, but I'm not. Just because you put a wing on it, don't make it a sprint car, and, all of a sudden we're hearing from a driver, well, that's the hardest darn sprint car I've ever had to drive, but I'm not going to mention no names on that. But.
You know what they say, if you're getting hate mail, you're doing something right.
Yep.
So
did you ever expect...
that was you took a lot of grief for that, so it's got to be a little satisfying to have the car count you've had, to have the year you've had, and then, we're on the precipice of probably your biggest sprint race of the year. That's got to be a big relief for you.
Yeah, and I don't even think we've got as far as we'll go here.
Oh, no.
Race Saver in general, a year and a half ago when we first started, basically 2 years ago when we first took off with this idea of running Race Saver, they had about 500 Race Saver cars nationally, and now they're already over 1,000.
I mean, yeah, that's true. I mean, your car count growth has been through the roof, and it just keeps getting better, and it's just going to keep getting better. You may have to start doing D features and E features in the next couple of years.
Yep.
Well, enough gushing on you for your choice. I just I've I've had a lot of conversations with people in the industry, and a lot of people have said, "Wow, was I wrong? I criticized Roger Haden the second he announced it, but holy cow, was that a smart choice?" So good job on that. We'll quit making you uncomfortable.
Well, just to add, the first week or two when the 305s and the Race Saver type rules package was adopted. There was a little bit of a difference, but how far this class has come in only 2 seasons. I mean, the racing is awesome.
We just had a record time again, record fast time again last week in the Race Saver cars, and they're less than 1 second slower than the record 360 time.
That's insane.
And
really?
And the incredible thing about it is the competition is so close that in the last 3 weeks, actually the first and second place positions traded on the lap were determined on the final lap of the race.
A lot of people said that the 305s were not the same speed as the 360s, and it wasn't going to be as much fun. When the Race Saver package came to Eagle, but there was a Cup driver, and it was either one of the Busch brothers or it might have been Stewart himself. He goes, "We don't need cars doing 140 mile to put on a good, exciting, fun race."
Yeah.
And so when you go to Eagle now, honestly, if I'd never been to Eagle except for 2 times, once to see the 360s, once to see the Race Savers, I don't think you can tell much of a difference right now. And the competition is so close. It's a hell of a fun night to go watch.
It's that burst of acceleration down the straightaway makes the 360 slightly faster, but especially at the end of the night when the track starts drying out just a little bit, the Race Saver cars will probably hook up even a little better than the 360s did. So the overall lap time, the corner speed is much faster for the Race Saver cars, I think, but they don't have the acceleration off the corner that the 360 cars have. And it's not enough. The 360s, I love them, but it's just a matter of economics,
As the fan that's going to be coming out on Friday night and Saturday night and Sunday night to enjoy this, what can I expect as a facility? Obviously we've got your great level of deliver for entertainment that you normally do.
That's what you can expect.
Is there anything outside of the norm? Honestly, I never see this stuff come up on the Facebook, but I hear about all these things that you guys do out there. The redneck mudslide, the
fire hose rodeo.
Is there anything you can tell me you guys are going to be doing that weekend, or is the focus going to be on the sprint car racing?
No, there will be after race events for sure, and it won't probably be on track. It'll probably be in the parking lot type stuff and parties. Like Friday night, we got a band, live band's going to be there.
The after party.
It's all about the after party. At our place, we just that's what made Eagle Raceway what it is we're not just a race show. We're lucky and we have a great race show.
Yeah.
And good entertainment, and it's easy to watch and stuff. But we always try to make it entertainment overall.
We got to wrap it up and head into turn number 4. I always appreciate you joining us, Roger. You're always a great host, great guest on the show. Stan, it's always great to have you on.
One real quick thing. You talked about what we did that you might expect that's something that's a little bit different for the Super Nationals. When's the last time you've been to a racetrack? They turned all the lights out, and they did driver introductions under a spotlight and interviewed each driver of the starting lineup for the A-main event.
I've never seen that.
We did that last year, and it was awesome. And we've got so much positive feedback. We're going to do it again this year.
Awesome.
Dan, I do have
real quick. We're out of time.
With the tragedy that happened up in upstate New York, as a track promoter, and you are in the studio right now, is there going to be, for all shows at Eagle Raceway, is there going to be a rule amendment about getting out of cars?
I'm working with some lawyers right now to make sure that we don't get ourselves in trouble here. But, I've got a plan in mind right now.
Can you not go into it right at the moment?
No, he said the word lawyer, so no.
No, but there'll probably be change. Just to be proactive. It's not that it's being put on us, but to be proactive and try to make sure this doesn't happen at our place.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. Roger Haden of Eagle Raceway. EagleRaceway.com. Stan Caesar, the great announcer out of Eagle Raceway, and for the U.S., for the ASCS Midwest and Nebraska 360s. Guys, we always do appreciate you joining us. We'll be back in turn number 4 to preview Michigan International Raceway. We'll be back.
So you raced your car this weekend and it ended up on the wrecker. Alter Metal Recycling in Council Bluffs wants to remind you it's not a total loss. Bring it by their modern scrap metal recycling facility and get top dollar for your car. Alter has a full concrete unloading zone, so you don't have to deal with muddy loading zones, and pays on the spot for your car. Alter Metal Recycling is open 6 days a week with locations in Omaha, Lincoln, Grand Island, and more. Find your location online at altertrading.com.
This week's Young Gun on the front stretch is Tig Radinas from Crushing, Iowa. Tig got his start last year in racing after watching his cousin Chris Ulrich race in the street stock division. He thought, if he can do it, then surely I can. Tig went out and bought himself a Chevy Cavalier, slapped the 07R on the side of it, and raced in the Sport Compact division, racing last year at Crawford County Speedway in his rookie season. This year he continues his quest to get a feature win at Crawford County. He currently sits 8th in the points. Outside of racing, Tig loves to fish with the family and work on cars, all while enjoying a Casey's Pizza. When asked what his goals are, Tig said one thing: beat his cousin Chris in a feature race. Keep your eye out for Tig Radinas in the 07R. He's this week's Young Gun on the front stretch.
We have all been there before. Broken car part in your hand and some snot-nosed punk behind the counter has no idea what he is talking about, but he guarantees that this part will fix your car. You pay an arm and a leg for the replacement, get it home, and sure enough, it doesn't fit your car. Now, learn from your mistake and give an experienced salesperson at Kosiski Auto Parts a call today at 402-731-4592. Kosiski Auto Parts will get you back on the road with your arms and legs still attached.
Are you ready for fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping, wheel-to-wheel racing right here in the Metro? Get to Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs and see what it's like to race real go-karts. Joe's Karting knows it's no fun to race go-karts at 10 miles per hour, so they ripped the governors out, and now the only restriction is how good you are at racing. It's full-throttle, white-knuckle racing every day of the week. Head over to joeskarting.com for hours, prices, and specials, or give Buddy a call today and set up your group races at 712-256-5278.
Get ready for the victory lap as we make our way into Turn 4 on the front stretch. Presented by Joe's Karting. Online at joeskarting.com.
Heading into turn number 4, about ready to wrap this baby up. Turn 4 brought to you by Quaker Steak and Lube in Council Bluffs, the official watering hole of the front stretch, and the location for the Playland Speedway Reunion Show. Head to the front stretch or find myself, Dan Taylor, on Facebook. You can find the event Playland Speedway Reunion 2014. Wayne Q got everything rolling for us. He's doing a lot of the legwork, so you know don't break anything, buddy. He tried to imitate Wayne there, and God, if you listened to the show last weekend, still haven't got a credit card from him to fix the audio equipment.
I'm telling you.
But September 14th at Quaker Steak and Lube. It's going to be a great time. We're working on getting some cars down there, some old Gotcha cars, some old coupes that may have raced at Playland Speedway.
Wonder if we get
kind of show
Bill Rick. I wonder if he'd bring his out.
That's who Wayne's talking to. Wayne, talking to Luke. We're working on some stuff to get some stuff out there. A lot of memorabilia. If you have anything, go over to the event page and talk to Wayne Q. He's getting everything organized for us. It's going to be a great time. September 14th, starting at 2 o'clock is when we start the recording. We're going to get there at about 11 o'clock and get everything set up. You can start doing the kind of perusing of the memorabilia and talking to the drivers at about noon o'clock. We hope you can join us September 14th at Quaker Steak and Lube. All right, we took long in the show, so we're going to have a quick turn 4 as we're going to wrap everything up. Last year, Michigan's winner, Jimmy Johnson, got himself a W late in the chase, and now he's needing a W. Just to kind of, not really needs a W, but I think he needs the momentum
security.
Again.
In the moment,
just the momentum, just
that
happiness of getting a win, because he had a rough day at Watkins Glen. He had a rough day. He had a rough day at Pocono. He's just had a couple of rough times. So Jimmy Johnson was your winner last time, and I don't know. I guess I'm kind of 50-50 on that. Does he need a win, or can he just kind of sit back and say, you know what, I'm in the chase?
As a driver now, coming from the dirt, there's been times where I've been like, I'll just kind of sit back and take it easy. But with Jimmy Johnson, I think these guys want to win every weekend. I mean, just look at the paydays they get.
Yeah.
I mean, they make more than what you and I combined will make in 20 years. So, and that all goes to funding and testing and research and stuff like that. Does he need to win? No. Does he want to win? Yes. And you want to win regardless. I mean, I don't care if you're 200 points out in front and you got all the money in the world. You still want the win. You have that competitive drive. If you're not in it to win it, then why do it?
Exactly. All right, your top 10 for Michigan last year, and I'm not entirely sure why I said Jimmy Johnson, because now that I pull up the results, it was not Jimmy Johnson. It was Joey Logano. Kevin Harvick was second. Third was Kurt Busch. Paul Menard came home fourth. Clint Boyer fifth. Marcus Ambrose sixth. Casey Kane seventh. Jeff Burton eighth. Greg Biffle ninth. And Carl Edwards was 10th.
Funny thing about Greg Biffle, he's the number 1 rated driver at this track.
Yeah, he's very good at Michigan.
Very, very good. Do we see Greg Biffle pop off a win, with this new sponsor coming on board?
Greg better do something soon, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find Jimmy Johnson. Finished 40th.
Yeah.
Where was I wrong in my notes?
You were close. You're just off 39 spots.
You know what? Last time at Michigan, we were here earlier this year, June 15th. That's where it was. Okay.
There you go.
That's where I was getting that note from. So Jimmy won earlier this year at Michigan. This time last year, it was Joey Logano that got his win. Kevin Harvick, Kurt Busch, Paul Menard, Clint Boyer rounds out the top 5. Ambrose, Kane, Burton, Biffle, and Edwards round out your top 10.
Marcus Ambrose, do you think he's a real shot to win Michigan after this incredible run that he had at Watkins Glen?
No.
No? You think it took a lot of air out of his sail?
Well, I just think that they haven't been very good at the 1.5 mile tracks, and this is a 1.5 mile track or actually it's a 2 mile track, isn't it? Yeah, it's a 2 mile track that it requires the nth degree of perfection, and I think they've struggled at that at Richard Petty Motorsports the last couple of years. I think his best shot at winning is going to go back to Bristol next weekend. I think that's his best shot. Which, by the way, Bristol Saturday night race. It's on ABC, so make sure you make your DVR change. And Buddy and I will be live that Sunday morning to break down all the action. We'll have Stan Caesar call us in and talk to us about the racing results at Eagle Raceway and give us a final preview before we head over to the Sprint Super Nationals. So, a lot going on. Get your picks in for the NASCAR Pick'ems contest. And, yeah, I know, I'm a broken record. I've been saying it for a couple of weeks now.
I'm going to take a guess. Sonia Worth won. Just go on a limb.
No, Sonia Worth did not get the best. For your Pick'ems contest, the best picks, David Ackerson took A.J. Allmendinger, and Craig Tuitt took A.J. Allmendinger. Both of them got the full 48
Sonia
points.
Worth did not win.
She took the 9 car, so she only lost 4 points to the other two, but still. And everybody else took the 9.
If she was going to continue to win, I was like, we need to have a bounty on Sonia Worth.
Yeah, maybe. I got a real kick out of there was only 4 drivers that were picked to winning at Watkins Glen. A.J. Allmendinger, which I was actually kind of surprised some people went with him, and it worked out well for him. Obviously, Marcus Ambrose, then Joey Logano, and the other driver was Kurt Busch. All of those drivers finished in the top 6. So it was a big points day for everybody, which
didn't really jostle anything up.
Kind of really doesn't do any good.
Yeah.
So Sonia Worth continues to lead. The Pick'ems contest, we are still working feverishly to get the prize pack. Good news is the next prize pack, we have it paced out, isn't going to start until Atlanta. So we've got 1 of 2 parts of it finished up. We'll continue to work diligently over the next couple of weeks to get it all locked up and get it rolled out for the Atlanta race. So we'll have a 5-week Pick'ems contest, and you guys can battle out for that big prize pack. Michigan today, green flag at 12 o'clock, coverage on ESPN and radio coverage on MRN. I want to bring up a good point, and since we've got a few minutes left in the show to talk about this, I was very satisfied with ESPN's coverage of the Kevin Harvick situation. Now, he got fined earlier in the week by NASCAR for a P3 penalty violation because of the counterweight that was in the bottom of his car. And this isn't one of those things
the beanbag.
Right. But that was a big beanbag. They said beanbag, and I'm thinking like the thing that you kick around or toss in the yard games.
Yep.
That wasn't a beanbag. That was what we used to weigh our tents down in the radio industry.
Yeah.
That thing was huge. But it was a balance so that when Kevin's not sitting in the car and they're working on the setup, it's got his weight so that the car was balanced.
We do this
right.
in dirt track racing also.
Well, they kind of forgot to take them out.
Oops.
And so NASCAR had to find them. I was very happy with with ESPN going at the story and saying, what was going on with these bags? Oh, well, they were this. Oh, okay, we got the story. And then when Ryan Newman made the comments that they need to do something about these walls because somebody's going to get killed, they weren't like Fox and went to the next Cialis commercial and took a break for 10 minutes. They went right down to pit road. They talked to a couple of drivers, and Robin Pemberton went up into the booth during the red flag and had a conversation about it and killed the story that day.
Let me ask you, watching that race, they had mentioned that the Cup cars at Watkins Glen have gotten faster over the years, and in that little S turn there, that real dangerous part, Do you think they need the safer walls at Watkins Glen? Do you think the cars are getting too fast for Watkins Glen?
No, because in that S-turn, because we talked to Dr. Dean Sicking about it, those walls are designed for high speeds. And at Watkins Glen, some areas are high speeds, most areas are not. And so most areas, the walls they have, those Armco safer walls, are the safest walls to have. Because if they had that safer barrier, probably somebody would have gotten hurt because it isn't designed to protect at that low speeds.
So you kind of disagree with what Ryan Newman was saying.
Well, he wasn't necessarily saying they need to put safer barriers in, but they need to do something to
increase the safety.
And the tough thing is, like Robin Pemberton brought up, he says, guys, we're here once a year. They've got all sorts of racing going on. So we're supposed to tell them that they need to completely replace all their walls.
Just for us.
For a one weekend.
Yeah.
You know, that's a tough situation to put a track in. Now, Ryan Newman was onto something, and I completely agree with him in a sense of these 1.5-mile, 2-mile tracks that are circle tracks that see high speeds. There's no more excuses. Every inch of those tracks need to be covered in safer barrier. Because
absolutely. Inside and outside.
Them. Denny Hamlin proved it. We're going to find that one area where you statistically have believed that they're not going to hit that part of the wall. We're done. I don't care about the economy of the racetrack. Because we're not going to be sitting there going, well, they only made $2.5 million profit next year, and so-and-so's now laying in the grave dead because they didn't make enough profit to buy safer barriers. This is something that needs to end. I don't care about economy. I don't care about the expenses. We're talking driver safety here. And that's the biggest thing is we had this conversation several times. Well, it costs so much to line those tracks with the safer barriers. Costs a lot more for the sport when somebody's killed because of one of these safety concerns.
Yep.
So get it done, tracks. If anybody listens to us, which I don't think anybody does, get it done. All right. Michigan, noon today, ESPN, all the action on the big screens of Quaker Steak and Lube in Council Bluffs.
You going to Quaker Steak and Lube?
Today?
You know, I'm actually thinking about it.
I am actually headed down to celebrate with my family.
Okay.
My parents' anniversary.
So I might grill out. I might grill out some steaks. WWE SummerSlams tonight. So I'm going to watch some good old fashioned wrestling tonight.
All right. We hope you enjoyed the show. We will be back to do it again live next weekend as we are going to be breaking down all the action from Bristol. Oh, hey, by the way, just to get you prepared for Bristol Saturday night, the earlier race winner in Bristol this year, Carl Edwards, got his first win on the season, locked himself into the chase. So that's just a little note after we get past Michigan today. Thanks so much for joining us. For Buddy, I'm Dan Taylor. Find us on Facebook and enjoy your Sunday.
All race car drivers know how frustrating it can be to lose a race because of a cheap part. They save pennies by going with the cheap part, and now they're on the hauler watching someone else celebrate in victory lane. Cutting corners in racing is just as costly as cutting corners on your car. Make sure you have quality parts on your car by heading to O'Reilly Auto Parts. With 13 locations in Omaha and Council Bluffs, it's easy to find an O'Reilly Auto Parts near you. Find your parts fast and easily online at O'ReillyAuto.com.
Only one word describes NASCAR at Kansas Speedway. Fantastic. Parking's free. Coolers are welcome. Fantastic, you say? Then don't miss the chase for the Sprint Cup Hollywood Casino 400 October 5th. Tickets include more seats for $99 or less and kids tickets for just $29. How fantastic is that? Call 866-460-RACE or visit KansasSpeedway.com today.
For 50 years, Eagle Raceway has been pushing the limits of dirt track racing. Saturday nights, come see the Midwest Best Battle at the fastest third-mile track. Gates open at 5:30 for IMCA Modifieds, Sport Compacts, Hobby Stocks, Sport Mods, and Race Saver Sprint Cars. Eagle kicks their season off on April 19th with the Icebreaker Challenge, featuring the debut of the Race Saver Sprint Cars. Located just 10 minutes east of Lincoln on Highway 34 and online at EagleRaceway.com.